everybody, thanks for stopping back to my channel. My name is Mindy. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. As I said, my name is Mindy and I do mostly speed builds, let's plays, challenges, game reviews, and I know I keep saying it, but you guys, it is actually in the works. It is half done. Tutorials coming soon. I know you guys have waited and waited and waited, and I keep saying it, but I actually got sick in the middle of recording it, so I had to take a little bit of a break, and I'm still kind of on the mend from that illness, so hopefully I will be able to finish that soon for you guys. But yes, tutorials are coming soon. So if you guys enjoy my content, please be sure to give my videos a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned because that tutorial is going to be amazing. So anyways, today's video is going to be a little bit different than some of the other speed builds that I normally do, and that is because I am going to try out a new storytelling aspect in the middle of my speed build. So basically, I have a long elaborate story for this speed build because you guys know me and I love creating elaborate stories, and I am going to insert clips of like a machinima for that story. So I'm either going to insert it in different parts of the speed build, or I'm just going to insert a full story at the end of the speed build. I don't quite know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I will definitely need feedback from you guys. So after you watch this, please let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you think that I should just put clips throughout the speed build, or if I should wait till the end of the speed build, or if I should just not do it at all. Definitely let me know what you guys think because your opinion matters to me. So anyways, you guys know, if you've been on my channel for a while, that I love creating long elaborate stories. When I was a teenager, I used to creative write all the time, and I would constantly make up stories. And with The Sims, it's definitely been kind of like a stress relief to me. I like to just, when I'm driving or something, think about these long elaborate stories of these Sims that I haven't even quite made up yet. So it's really kind of weird because it is such like a stress reliever to me. I don't know how to explain it, but if you are somebody who likes to make up stories, you might understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I really enjoy just coming up with these different stories. So yeah, today's speed build is going to be about two grandparents who are raising their granddaughter. So the grandparents' names were Richard and Elaine Saylor, and they had a daughter named Megan Saylor. Now Richard and Elaine, they were a working class family, kind of middle class. They didn't have a lot of money, but they definitely weren't struggling by any means. They lived in a cute little suburban home, and they were able to provide Megan with everything that she needed. Now Richard and Elaine actually never went to school, like university themselves, so they both worked in the business career, and they just really valued education, and they really wanted Megan to get a good education. Megan knew from a young age that she wanted to be a doctor, and so she worked really hard at school to get good grades, and she later graduated head of her classhold and went on to attend university. Now when she attended university, it was a bit of a culture shock for her because Richard and Elaine definitely kind of shielded her from the more I guess like maybe violent or more, I don't know how to explain it. They just shielded her from the world around them, and not a lot, you know. It was just Megan never really went out and partied, and her parents, you know, they had her dressed modestly, and she didn't really watch like violent movies, or didn't really, you know, she wasn't exposed to like sexual content or anything like that, which is good. You know, obviously we all want to protect our children from those things to an extent. So when Megan attended college, it was kind of like a shock to her, and she gained this newfound freedom, and it was kind of like a release for her. Like, she didn't have her parents looming over her head, and she was able to do kind of whatever she wanted now. And she made it through the first year of university. She did really good. Her grades were great, but she began to hang out with the wrong group of people, and she was partying every weekend and during the week, and she was juiced up, quote unquote, quite a lot, and her grades began to slip. One day she calls home, rings her parents answer the phone, and she's like, "Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant." And Richard and Elaine are they're like really shocked, but they're like supported. They're like, okay, like here's what you need to do. We want you to continue going to school, but we need you to move back home so we can kind of help take care of the baby, and if you can get a part-time job and kind of help with money until you have to go to school completely full-time, you know, we're gonna help you take care of this baby. So Megan went to the baby's dad. His name is Drew Starks, and she told him, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have this baby. Drew did not want her to have the baby. He didn't want her to move back home, but she decided to move home anyway. When she moved home, she confided in her parents that Drew actually had some misdemeanor charges. So he was once sent to jail for theft, and he had charges on drinking while juiced and just some other misdemeanor charges. They also found out later that he had some assault charges against him. Richard and Elaine were really relieved that their daughter Megan had kind of gotten away from this Drew guy, and that they were going to be able to help her take care of the baby. But they also noticed that something about their daughter was just a little bit different. Something had changed. She wasn't the same fun-loving girl that she used to be. Her grades were still slipping. After she had the baby, she kind of went back to that old lifestyle and began hanging out with Drew again. She would be out all night and come home at like 5 in the morning and sleep all day, and the grandparents were getting really frustrated because they were having to take care of this baby nonstop, and they're a little bit older, you know, so it was kind of hard on them. And so they told Megan, they gave her an ultimatum. They're like, look, we can't enable you anymore. Like, you're not keeping your job, you're not keeping up on your schoolwork, and you're going and hanging out with this Drew guy, and it's just not good. Like, you're not putting your child first. And so they give her an ultimatum. They're like, either the baby or Drew. And the next morning, it's like 6 in the morning, and the baby's crying because she needs fed, and the grandparents are kind of laying there in their bed, and they're like waiting, like, okay, Megan's gonna get the baby, Megan's gonna get the baby. And when the baby continues to cry, they decide to get up and go check on the baby, and Megan is gone. And there's just a note on the bed, and the note just says Drew. And so the grandparents then realized that their daughter, you know, she left. Like, she had made her decision, she didn't want the baby. And so at this point, they decided to pursue legal action to get custody of their granddaughter. Now, when they did this, they got a hold of Child Protection Services went and located Megan, and they said, hey, like, you need to go to court. Like, are you going to sign off on your baby? Your parents want custody. Are you going to fight for the baby? And Megan just signs custody over to the grandparents. And so the grandparents are like really shocked. They kind of hoped that this would have been like a wake-up call for Megan, and Megan would have been like, you know what, I really need to come back and take care of my baby, but she didn't. So the grandparents now had this baby that they had to take care of, their granddaughter, and at the same time they lost their daughter. And so it was like this really big shock for them. They didn't quite know what to think. They didn't hear from Megan for years until their granddaughter was 6. And Megan called home to her parents, and she's like, hey, like, I know I haven't talked to you guys for a while. And the grandparents were elated. They're like, her parents were elated, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, how are you? Come home, please come home. And they found out that in the 6 years, Megan had been married 3 times, and she wasn't doing good. And Megan was like, I can't come home. She didn't ask how her daughter was doing. She didn't ask how the grandparents were doing. Instead, she asked for money, and the grandparents were like, no, we're not gonna give you money. And basically they didn't hear from her again for a while. So they were relieved to know that their daughter was still alive, but they were like really saddened to see kind of how she had gone downhill and the lifestyle that she was living. So they continue to raise their granddaughter. Her name is Vanessa, by the way. Megan's daughter is named Vanessa. And Vanessa is a pretty well-rounded child as well. She gets really good grades in school. She wants to be a musician when she gets older. And she continues to do really well in school. Every once in a while, Megan calls home to Richard and Elaine and asks again for money. Richard and Elaine, while they answer the calls every time, they turn their daughter down on giving them money. And they, you know, tell her, like, come home, but she never once asked about her daughter or how her daughter is doing or how her parents are doing. So it was a little bit frustrating, but Richard and Elaine decided not to tell their granddaughter that her mother was calling them and asking for money, because they just thought that it would hurt Vanessa more than anything. So they never tell Vanessa that her mom calls. And Vanessa goes on, she goes to high school, and then again, kind of in the same sense that her mother changed, Vanessa goes on to high school, and all of a sudden she's hanging out with people that she shouldn't be hanging out with. She is doing illegal things. She is caught with illegal substances on her, and her grandparents decide this time, they're like, I don't know why this is happening again. You know, we've lost our daughter to this, and now our granddaughter's going down this road, and we don't understand, because we've always been able to provide you with everything you've ever needed, and we love you and we care for you, and you know, we're always here for you. So they decide to kind of nip this one in the bud. They're like, okay, like, we're gonna get some intervention now. So when the illegal substances are found on their granddaughter, they decide to actually send her to a detention center that offers like a rehab as well. When their granddaughter gets out of the detention center, she starts running away, and basically nothing helped. They try to get her into counseling. Nothing helped their granddaughter. Their granddaughter's just wild. She kind of does whatever she wants. She just comes and goes as pleases. And despite the grandparents taking like legal action and getting their granddaughter, you know, help with like a counselor, or therapist, like none of it's helping. Then one day, Elaine goes to the doctor. She had been sick for a while, and the doctor basically finds out through a series of tests that she only has a few months left to live. And this is super, like, just completely throws the grandparents off. They're like, okay, we've been healthy this whole time, you know, what's going on now? So the grandparents kind of wait, you know, they're like, we don't really know how to approach Vanessa with this information. And in the meantime, Grandma Elaine, she decides to retire from her job, and she knits at home and sells some things on Plopsy, just to try to help get extra money. Grandpa, who had recently retired, decided that he needed to go back to work full-time or part-time at like a grocery store, because he wanted to bring in some extra money, knowing that Elaine was not going to be around much longer. Finally, when Vanessa is home, the grandparents sit her down and they explain to her that Grandma is not going to live much longer. You know, she's only got a set number of months. Time is limited with her, and they explain, you know, they're going to do their best to take care of her. They decide to move out of their suburban house into this apartment, which we are currently renovating, and they just wanted something a little bit smaller for when Elaine does pass away, and it's just Vanessa and her grandpa. At this point, Vanessa is like horrified. This is her grandma. This is who had raised her. But they also decide to tell Vanessa finally the story of her mom, and they explain everything that happens from the time that her mom left to university to now. And they explain, you know, that her mom left her, and the note that she left having, you know, Drew's name on it. And they explain, you know, she calls maybe like once a year, but she never asks about you. She asks about money. And her grandparents give her, they're like, this is the last known phone number of your mother if you want to contact her. This is your father's name if you want to contact him. And Vanessa is just like horrified. Like, everything that her grandma did for them, she completely took advantage of, and she decides that she needs to get her act in order, and she needs to straighten up. And so she starts doing better in school, and she apologizes to her grandparents like over and over again, and she's like, I'm so sorry I put you through all of this. Like, you know, you guys did everything for me, and I totally took you for advantage. And she starts helping out around the house and just spending more time with her grandparents, and overall she's becoming more happy. And her grandparents are really elated to see that their granddaughter is happy. And this kind of brings us up to where we are now in the save file. So this is where this family is going to be left off in the save file, is that Grandpa he's retired, but he is working part-time at a grocery store. Grandma is knitting and selling things on Plopsy. She only has a short time to live. And Vanessa does not know her mother yet. And she is working really hard in school. She's working really hard on her guitar. She wants to be a famous musician, and she hopes to be able to provide for her grandpa someday after her grandma passes away. I think probably what I would do, and I don't really know because this is where I'm going to leave it in my save file, so it's really up to you guys if you download my save file what you want to do. I thought it would be interesting once Elaine passed away to have Vanessa maybe go find her mom. I thought that could be an interesting storyline to play out, but it's totally up to you guys. This is where we are at in the save file, so I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I hope it's okay, but this is kind of the story that we are playing out, so let me know what you guys think of the story, and we are going to hop back into the speed build. Alright guys, so that is the story, and I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you enjoyed the format in which I set it up as. This is definitely not something that I'm going to be doing a lot because it takes a very long time to edit these speed builds. So for instance, this apartment, which took me maybe an hour, maybe a little over an hour to do, took a very long time to edit because you have to basically set up a story within all of that. So again, definitely not something I'm going to be doing a lot, but please let me know what you think about it, because I can always consider doing them in the future every once in a while. Not a big deal. So here we are finishing up this apartment. This apartment has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. It's got a main bathroom and a master bathroom, and I wanted to kind of cater this apartment to the personalities of these Sims. So you'll notice that there's some knitting stuff and some crafting stuff from Grandma, and then the teenager's room, so Vanessa's room, is pretty set up kind of toward her personality, I imagined, and there's like guitars in there and just plenty of stuff for her to do that kind of caters to that music career. So yeah, I really like this. I didn't want it to seem like a brand new apartment. I also kind of imagined that maybe this apartment is on the first floor, or maybe there's an elevator, because I was thinking about it and I was like, it'd be really hard for elder Sims or just elder people in general to like constantly go up and down stairs, I think, in my opinion. So especially if they were like carrying groceries or something. So I kind of like to imagine that maybe there's like an elevator to this apartment, or it would be really cool if we could actually furnish the first floor apartments, like the ground floor apartments. I think that would be really fun and really nice to do. So yeah, but I wanted this apartment to kind of cater them. I kind of imagined that maybe they took some of the furniture from their home and brought it over. They didn't really buy a whole bunch of new furniture. The whole point of them moving in to this home is so that they can downgrade, so they have something a little bit smaller, because Grandma is going to pass away. She's not going to be around much longer, so just something for Vanessa and her grandpa to live in. So this is Vanessa's room, and I went with kind of like dark blues and blacks, and I just thought that the darker colors kind of suited her more I don't know, edgy personality, I guess. And I do end up taking out that closet because it was taking up a lot of space, and I wanted to be able to have plenty of activities for her to do, like the guitar, and then I believe I put a desk in here as well. No, I put a couch and some video games in here because I kind of imagine that maybe she likes to play video games. I don't know why, just when I was thinking of her, I really thought video games would suit her personality. So anyways, this is the speed build. We are coming to the end of this video. Like I said, I hope you guys like it. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Open to constructive criticism, definitely. Just please be kind, and yeah, let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you want to see in the future? And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. So I will talk to you guys all later. Bye.